Hello everyone, welcome to my Senior Project 2020 edition. I wanted to share my project with you guys so bad this year. I didn't really share much of it. I only really shared parts of my art piece with Miss Crandall. And from that, I really didn't show it to anyone else because I was just so excited to just like spring this on you guys all at once. So the shock factor is like immediately there. But I really just want to talk about my art piece because of the pandemic that's going on. We're not able to, be together with each other. So instead, I decided to record a little video for you guys and talk about the major parts of my art piece. Now, before I talk about my major parts of my art piece, I want you guys just to look at my art and just kind of like see what catches your eye. You know, maybe the table catches your eye. If it does, you might need to look a little more closely, but I commend you on that. Maybe it's this head in a jar. Maybe it's this paper. Maybe it's the book. Maybe it's the candle. Maybe it's this insignia on the table. And I think it's just interesting what people latch onto, because I've always noticed that when I look at a piece of art, I focus in on one detail. I focus in on one thing. And then it's almost kind of like burning a piece of paper. The flame spreads, and you're kind of able to like see more of the picture after you see that initial thing. So, beginning with looking at my art piece and talking about the major pieces, I want to talk about this piece of paper in the middle of the table. Super neat, super clean, with the project title named Project Soul Transfer. Now, Project Soul Transfer is kind of a cool name for something because soul transfer just seems impossible. Whatever, it's voodoo magic. Reese, don't mess with voodoo magic because voodoo magic is bad. Well, okay. The idea with why I named this Project Soul Transfer was because I really looked overall at my art piece and I thought, I poured everything I had. I poured my whole entire soul into this art project because I dug deep and thought about what hurt me most, what inspired me the most, what really like I looked back on everything that I am. And from that I was able to create this art piece. And honestly, I love the diagram that I added here. I think that it adds kind of like a little bit of magic, but also kind of like a science type aspect to it. So really, like, nothing is impossible through science, and we're able to really accomplish more than we can think. However, moving on to the book kind of contradicts that, which is unknown magic. Not even like trying to relate to science, it's just unknown magic. I kind of thought of this book idea from like Harry Potter and, the Half-Blood Prince, when Harry, finds this book and there's all these notes written in it. That's kind of what I think about. And, honestly, just like having all this unknown magic really may be known by one person and then they died and never talked about it again, and it's just all in this book. And I really love the idea of like ideas that are like shot down or for whatever reason aren't finished, and then it kind of becomes like a magical thing. Like, there's no way that someone could do this, but that person who created the idea maybe knew how to do that. And I think that's just kind of a cool idea to think about. And then on to the main attraction, the thing that I am most proud of. This was originally going to be my main part of my project, but I decided to add some other stuff. So starting from the head down is this city. How, if you notice, it's all gunked up and there's like a big old city. Smoke is, going in through our heads. That's kind of talking about like how our minds are so clouded. Sometimes we're not able to see in the presence. And then looking into the eyes, I really like this because I kind of split it into kind of like a really light side and a really dark side. The left side is kind of like a cool little crystal, almost kind of like from Atlantis in the left eye with all these bright colors. While when you look to the right, it's kind of a satanic, you know, star. Almost called it a triangle. It's not a triangle, it's a star with fire. And honestly, like, I just think that, sometimes we have a burning passion in our eyes. And also, we have a happy look in our eyes. And I don't know about you guys, but when I look at something or someone, usually I look into their eyes. And sometimes their eyes hold all their stories. And, like, it just contains their soul, which kind of goes back to the project Soul Transfer. Now we move on to the mouth. The mouth is just this really beautiful agricultural dream with all these trees representing all the seasons. You have this cool looking planet with the moon, kind of like on the side, the stars. You have a cool looking half planet in the middle with waterfalls, with candles, with a pink sunset. I added so much detail, little candlesticks. I have added so much detail into this mouth because I really liked this piece a lot. And then kind of moving down, you see the veiny neck and the kind of dimension, the green blood. It's really gross, but I like it. And then moving on to this quote that I decided to make up, which is a mind that only thinks of darkness, and a mouth that only speaks of happiness is every person in the world. Because commonly, not a lot of people talk about the bad things. They really just keep that inside their heads, and they don't really like to talk about it. And we like to talk about the good things, which is kind of like going back to happiness in the mouth. And you can even see like it's brighter in the mouth and then darker in the head. Brighter things come out of your mouth and darker things stay in your head. And kind of like what I like is this project Soul Transfer kind of transfers to this, where maybe this was multiple people transferred into this head, and like all the happy things are in the mouth, all the dark thoughts are in the head. And honestly, I watched the movie Nine as I was making this movie, or not the movie. I wasn't making a movie, I was making some art. But while I was making art, I was watching the movie, and parts of that really just like synced in, and I was like, I need like a secret scientist type idea. So that's kind of why I created this little laboratory type thing with this insignia. I think it's pretty cool. And overall, one thing that I want you guys to take away from this art is that art is important, and it's always important just to take a moment in your life and either create art, and if you're not the best artist, that's okay. But even just taking a moment to appreciate art. And now, this doesn't have to be normal art. You can go outside and see nature's beauty. You can talk to people. You can see the art of sport and gaming and stuff like that. But just take a moment to appreciate those things. Thank you all for listening to my 2020 senior project.